One of the best heroes against Tiny 2. Abuses low armor.
Medallion, Clinks, they can get a Roche very quickly with the Vengeful Spirit here.
Vengeful Spirit, Elder Titan, Clings, Desolator potentially. They have a lot of minus armor.
How do you think
Tiny?
Yeah. How do you think Secret want to lane this? So like they have to kind of at least have an idea of their lane since they are picking next anyways.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely the core Venge, which has been run in the off lane as well as in the safe lane, and then the Clings can go pretty much anywhere. So we'll have to just like see what they pick last. They have first pick, right?
Yeah.
I kind of like
the draft.
I kind of like Venge and almost ET is like a bully lane.
Yeah, it's very strong. The dual lane is very, very strong. But Ogre is one of the best against it to absorb the pressure, so they already have a good answer to that.
Sometimes it feels like you can just ignore him, though. You know, you
With
just
the
like
Ogre?
you just like run past him towards that carry, though.
Yeah, yeah.
Especially in like the first early levels.
It's a bit scary if he has like an AWP of Venom or something.
Yeah.
Because it's like kind of clubs you down.
But it's SVG.
It is SVG.
That's like 2 centuries.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Gotta buy all those wards and consumables for my cores. I'm gonna share clarity with you. What is Secret looking for? They need some consumables for my cores.
Do they want a mid one here? We saw him play Clinks last game, but traditionally, you know, this is where maybe a mid one.
What is Secret looking for? They need some consumables for my cores.
Do they want?
What is Secret looking for? They need some consumables for my cores.
Do they want?
What is Secret looking for? They need some consumables for my cores.
Do they want?
What is Secret looking for? They need some consumables for my cores.
Do they want?
What is Secret looking for? They need some consumables for my cores.
Do they want? Put Invoker side lane and Clinks mid against the TA as well, if that does happen.
They need some
Invoker side lane, they want great, but
I mean, now there's Meepo side lane.
Side lane and Clinks mid against the TA as well, if that
They
does
need
happen.
some tips.
Oh, perfect.
Just run off the panel in the booth quickly.
We've seen a few Ember games.
Yeah.
For mid one.
Ember's good.
To think about here.
Yeah, the catch is not incredible overall right now.
Ember's good. Storm is acceptable. But I would really like to see an Invoker. Yeah, I mean, it's not great.
Well, get your stamp of approval there.
It's not great, but it's acceptable.
Let's get the Farmers Union stamp out.
Yeah. The black stamp of approval.
But yeah, I think Invoker is solid. So.
It gives them some more team fight. And they have this global... the other thing they also have is like a really hard initiation. Like the swap isn't really the way you want to start every single fight. So maybe you want something to lead the silencer in. TB though, you go hard carry, they say.
So it's Klink's mid again.
Klink's feels more like the pressure itself will be their initiation. So we just approach up to your tower.
I mean,
very strong.
Terrorblade destroys Tiny and Mirana cores as soon as it gets a BKB. So I really like the pick. It's more, can they survive the lanes or not?
And also the last pick, because 10th pick of the draft, VGJ Storm chose second pick. So Secret got to choose Radiant.
Don't pick TA. Don't pick TA against the Klings. That's what we learned.
Or against TB, I would say.
TB.
Doesn't sound great. This is where you'd normally see like the Zeus or Tinker counter pick a lot of the time.
Tinker.
Those are the
possibly
two common
Storm,
ones.
but nah, probably not. Silence already. Not the best lane against Klings. But Klings middle is really strong if you don't pick a very strong hero against it, like a Wind Ranger or something like that. Like he dominates a lot of the conventional heroes.
Do you have any others that you'd like to see versus the Klinks in particular?
Does the Spectre working?
If they try and send them around the
or maybe Tiny mid could also
can easily
work.
swap the lanes, yeah.
But Tiny mid gets harassed so hard by Klings. Like you hit him for like 90 every time.
Yeah.
It's very hard. You need to pick like a hard counter to Klings in the lane to really shut him down.
Do you think that has to be the focus?
I mean, if they want to have a good lane against the Klings. I don't know what their focus right now is, what lane they want to focus on. But if they don't address this Klings, the mid one's going to go on a hunt again.
Rezo seems like he's not quite sure either.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's very tough because they have like a couple of weaknesses to fix, and they have a lot of heroes to do that in the mid lane, but Klings dominates most of these heroes.
He's talking. I wonder if that means it's likely Rezo's hero, if they want to put the Mirana mid.
Seems that way, yeah.
Or at least put Mirana on your war, so...
Yeah. I think that's pretty likely what they're going to try and do here.
Medusa.
And it's going to be a Medusa 10th pick for VGJ
Now that
Storm.
is an anchor hero right there.
Well,
If you don't know lose, you go Medusa.
they're all in with the Medusa this time around, VGJ Storm. Quick final thoughts from you, gents? Gods?
Medusa versus TB.
They're playing... we're going to be in for a late game. Yeah, TB Medusa. Buckle in, get your snacks, get your drinks, and be ready for a long game, perhaps.
Black.
I personally give the edge to TB because of Venge. The Venge aura is just going to be too much for them, I think.
All right, very quickly, Trent.
Give it to the Medusa, VJ Storm.
All right, let's catch up with Casey, who's waiting just outside the booth with Jack.
Hi, Jack.
How's it going, Casey?
Really good.
Yeah, we're excited. It's backs up against the wall. You know, we've been in this position a few times. I'm sure we'll come through.
The crowd seemed to really like that last pick. Talk about the draft, and I'm also curious how surprised you were about the Meepo pick in the first game.
We had some idea that it was coming. We thought we could play against it, but in these games of Dota, you know, sometimes lanes don't go well, and you end up in a rough position very quickly. Obviously, they're a very good team, so it happens. We were ready, but we lost game one, so it's fine.
Feel a little bit more confident about this draft?
Yeah, I think so. I think we have a lot of options. We have something that gives us a good late game as well.
What did you say to your team back there to kind of motivate them coming back into this now that you're facing elimination?
There wasn't too much about you know, this game or the situation. They're aware of that, but it was just about adjustments for this game. Just make sure we get a good game of Dota out, and that's all we can ask for.
Best of luck, Jack. Thank you.
Thanks, Casey.
Back to you guys.
Thanks, Casey. Thanks, Jack. Let's hand you over to our commentary team. The game is almost underway. Capitalist and Blitz will bring you game number 2.
Well, we heard Jack's thoughts about game number 1. They said maybe they did expect the Meepo, but boy, they were not prepared for it enough, apparently. Hopefully they're more prepared in game 2 because they've got a last pick Medusa, looking to be able to counterpick the Terrorblade. Now, Black, we actually heard him because of the Vengeful Spirit. He's sticking with the Terrorblade. Trent's on the other side. Break the tie for me, William.
I think I kind of want to go for the TB. I feel like it's going to be easier for him to get his damage out. I think it largely depends on how MSS plays this game, because I think he's the real X factor for this team. You know that Rezo on the main stage is always going to play well. VGJ Storm as a whole, I think, has played very well this tournament, but MSS, he needs to have a great game to keep their TI hopes alive.
Now, after game 1, you said you wanted a couple things. You wanted more catch out of VGJ Storm, and we definitely got that, right? Now with a Tiny as well as a Dark Willow, you've got a lot of team fights. You've got a lot of catch there as well. Are you just overall happier with VGJ Storm's lineup, even though you sided with Secret in this game?
Yeah, I think so. I think their lanes are going to go a lot better than they did in game 1. And I think that's been part of the problem. If you have a rough laning phase in this meta, you almost always just lose the game.
Right.
Like if you lose 2 out of 3, God forbid 3 out of 3 lanes, then the game just feels like it's kind of over, and you can't really come back into it. which is why I think VP is struggling a little bit more than they used to, just because they're having a hard time figuring out what sort of lanes that they want.
Seems like everybody's putting a lot more emphasis into getting at least one really strong laning phase for one of their cores. We're going to have MSS and Stinking. Looks like they're going to be going into the Terrorblade lane. So they've got a decent amount of magic damage. They've got some AoE clear as well to be able to deal with illusions. So this should be a good way to be able to put a lot of pressure onto Ace. But of course, Secret are always trying to give the mid-1 matchup the best possible situation. And he's going to be Clinks into a Medusa. How do you think that goes?
I haven't really been a part of the Clinks meta, but most of the time, I think Clinks trades out pretty evenly or favorably compared to most heroes, as you are going to get harassed up behind the creep wave as Secret going to tri-lane up here with the core Venge.
Forced to get leap level 1. Doesn't feel great. Puppey will now TP down to the bottom lane. Make sure Ace isn't alone. The creep wave so close to the tower. They're going to try and challenge that early. Mid-1 doing the same thing he did last time around, feeling like he's stronger with the Searing Arrows. Will push back against the opposing enemy mid with his first round.
And at least this time he can trade because he's got better range. Yeah. He has a nuke to hit back with. And that's why Mid-1 is being a little bit more scared here. Is going to bring himself a salve as Rezo a little bit more healthy in this mid lane so far. And already up to 4 CS. Much better overall for VGJ Storm than in game 1.
2-man Arcane Curse. Puppey is going to have to just be a constant threat, try and put a lot of damage onto these two, so the Terrorblade, when he's back in melee form, will not have to worry about that. Top lane is where we're going to have our first blood. SVG managed to pick it up onto Yapzor, and Fada's even taken a lot of damage in return. Looks like they tried to go for Yuar, but were just a little bit shy in damage.
Yuar not even leveling the arrow level 1, going for the Star Storm, but doesn't have a salve. And the courier is already headed towards mid. Rezo, he's geared up